Good morning. Welcome to EXSIN Live. It is Dave and Phil, and we're here to tell you that you suck at sales, and it shows.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it does.
Don't mean to call you names, but
well, no. It's facts.
And the reason is that invariably you're going to tell me that you can sell your product. It applies to everybody.
Yep.
Start there.
Well, and I think, too, there's a lot of old school stuff that people still try to enforce and push through today's world. There's people that think all you got to do is do social media and they think that sells. There's people that, part of the problem is there's noise everywhere.
Well, how many look at yourself, and I'm guilty too. How many of you have bought courses from some 28-year-old?
That's pretty old, like 20.
Okay, 20-year-old that tells you they are sales gurus, but they're living in their parents' basement, building course materials, but they're incredibly good marketers.
Great marketers.
Great marketers. And there's nothing wrong with that. So maybe they're good salespeople too, because they market well.
Well, it depends. Do you want to deliver a product that actually helps people, or you just want to get $3.99?
We're back to the 1930s and the snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
In the towns.
That's what it feels like.
It does feel like that.
That's what it feels like.
And if you've been caught in that trap, which some of you have been, most of you may not have been, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't been caught in that trap, then you're going to get caught in that trap because everybody wants the easy path to success.
Yeah. Everybody wants it to be easy, quick. I want it yesterday. I was talking to one of my sons, and I said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want what you have." I said, "Great. Risk everything daily for about 10 years, and then apply it for 30 years, and you can have it."
Sell your golf club, sell your boat, sell your car.
Well, and part of the way. Yeah, right. That's what I tell everybody. I sold a lot of stuff my first year in sales. I sold everything I owned to pay the bills. But I think that part of the challenge we have is that everybody looks for a shortcut in life. And then also there are examples that, and listen, I'm not these influencers.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Oh, they're making a fortune.
Well, but it's how we advertise now. So I don't have any. I get that. I don't understand it, but I get it. But that's where people see this and they think, well, no, you don't have to apply something and risk everything and do it for 30 years and then you can have success. They said we can do it in 30 months. And because some people do, what you usually find is it's very short-lived. It's very quick in and out. We go back and if you go look at the so-called gurus that were gurus 3 years ago, their websites are dead. Nobody's there. There's a lot of these folks that's just in trying to make a buck and gone.
Yeah. They get their money and they go do their thing. And I get that. Let's talk about a real path to sell success because we don't want you to suck. And if you follow a simple recipe and a process every day, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, it's real simple. You got to apply pressure, meaning if you want to move something, right? What do? You get good leverage, you push consistently, you do. It's the same thing in sales. You've got to have the right process, the right system, and you got to understand people. That's
understanding people. Let's the number one thing sales is it's relational.
Yeah, no like and trust.
Like and trust. Yeah,
and we know that's not sexy, and we know that's not cool. We also know that that's what works. But no like and trust is kind of the focal point.
If your sales process does not guide your potential client through natural phases of a relationship to get them to convert, then you're not going to be as successful. You're going to find some wins here and there.
Sure.
And to do that, there's two things you got to understand first. You got to understand who you are and how people see you. And you've got to understand what your challenges are prospecting for new clients.
Yeah, and I think that's the key word, the P word, right? Prospecting. It's, again, there's a lot of great tools out there. I love social media marketing. I think there's a place for it. I think it's a tool in your sales toolkit, but I think that's what it is. And it's and listen, I know we sound like two old guys up here. I guess that's because we are
two old guys.
Two old guys, but
it's called wisdom.
It's called living it for a long time. And I'll use this analogy. Everybody could afford a $500,000 house 2 years ago. Seemed like everybody could afford a $500,000 house. Well, interest rates were 2.5%. There's a hard economic lesson going on in the world right now. And it's the same, because now that same house that everybody used to be able to afford, there's very few people that can afford it now.
Fact.
So it's the same thing in sales. There's times and cycles where it's easier. There's certain things that are easier to sell than others, But even the things that are easier, you still have to follow a process and a system because it won't give you consistent results over the long term.
Now, what Phil said, some of you, I'm going to be a dad here. You're in for a rude awakening.
Oh yeah.
Because things that were easy 2 months ago are going to be really, really hard, and you're going to get really, really frustrated. I don't want you to give up.
Yep.
I mean, quit. So first, know who yourself is. What's your disc style? How do people see you, and how do you relate to other people based on your style? The second thing is, are you scared to go out and prospect? And if you are, why?
Yeah, I mean, usually if you don't like to go prospect, it's because it's usually a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of a natural just network of people that you know. It can be something as simple as I'm scared to go initiate a conversation with a stranger. It can be I don't like speaking in front of a group. There's all these things, but that's why a lot of times it takes time because you have to develop some of those skills that don't come naturally to you.
And a key that if you're one of those people that's having trouble with it, pick one thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go talk to 5 new people today. Pick one thing and go do it every day to get comfortable.
Yeah.
Be specific in how you fix it. The next thing you've got to do, you got to understand who your ideal client is.
Yeah.
You can't sell a Mercedes to everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, even there's people out there that, I don't own a Mercedes.
I don't either. Wait, Matt. No, that's not true.
That's not true. Your daughter drives one, but
her grandma.
But I don't own a Mercedes, but the vehicle I drive costs as much as a Mercedes.
Or more.
Right. And but my point is it's a really nice pickup.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Right.
It's a dream pickup.
But think about this. When Dave says you can't sell everyone a Mercedes, there's a variety of reasons for that. It's not that there's a lot of people that could afford a Mercedes. Yeah. They just choose not to drive one. It's a personal choice. And that applies to every product out there, every service out there. It's not that people can't, it's that they don't want to.
Right. And if you don't know who your ideal client is, who is the Ford customer? I'm a Ford guy, big time.
Yeah.
You are too.
Yep.
Who's the Ford customer? What do they look like? What's their family look like? How do they live? Find who your ideal customers. We're talking cars, but this applies to anything you sell. Consulting services, financial services, whatever. Real estate. Who do you relate to and who can you sell to? We've done this exercise with companies, and it's so much fun to watch the sales team get it. They're like, well, this is who I hang out with. Once you know who you sell to and you develop that, you know where to find them.
There's a great book out there called The Millionaire Next Door. It's a fabulous book that this gentleman spent, and the author's name just eludes me right now, but I read this thing for the first time 20 some years ago. And what they do is they talk about millionaires' buying habits, and it's astonishing. And it's based on data and research. This gentleman tracked these people for 30 years. So there's the things that we create in our own mind, what we think or why we think people buy, and then there's the reality of it.
Or what we see here and they tell us
and
whatever, you believe it, which is crazy. The next thing you do, once you know who you're targeting, find 60 people, 60 potential clients, and put them on a list and start cultivating them.
Yep. Out of that 60, this isn't our numbers. This is industry across all industry lines. If you're selling B2B, out of that 60 clients, 60%, it's 60, 60, 30. 60% will let you present a proposal to them or do a pitch. So that's 36 people are going to hear what you got to say. And out of that, 11 to 12 will buy from you. And
guess what? Every good salesman we've had is there at a minimum, and most of them exceed the close rate on that.
Yeah.
Depending on the product.
And some of that's driven by industry. I mean, we've had clients over the years that, for example, commercial insurance brokers, a good closing ratio in commercial insurance because of all the competition and all the other variables is around 20, 25%, 30%. I mean, that's kind of where it lands. You've got other more retail driven type business to business that still has outside sales reps that are going to close 40, 50, 60% because of the nature of the why. It's just tough to sell a non-tangible.
So the point is if you're closed in less than 30%, you need to look at your approach, what you're doing, and adjust it because your tactics aren't working properly.
Well, and I think I'm glad you said the word tactics because, once you have those goals, you have your sales goals. We always tell our people, we want you to pick 2 business and 1 personal to focus on this period, this 12-week cycle, because we look at everything in periods or quarters is what the world calls it, but in periods. And, you can make adjustments. You can turn on a dime based on the tactics that you're implementing to get you to your goal for that 12-week period. And I think, we're creatures of habit, right? If it's something that doesn't cause us discomfort or pain, then we'll keep doing something, even if we really know deep down inside it's not working. It's not as effective as it should be.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So you got to have discipline.
It's hard, and it's hard to pivot, but you've got to.
Yeah.
The next thing is I want you to build a weekly business development schedule. So look at your calendar and schedule out on Saturday or Sunday before you go to the week. These are my periods of business development. This is who I'm going to talk to. It could be a phone call. It could be a Zoom meeting. It could be a face-to-face.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and understand that people buy from people. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things. Now, we're not saying you can't sell stuff online. You can. Remember, that's a tool in the toolkit. We're talking about you as a professional salesperson. How do you approach your day-to-day activities to sell your products and services? And it's got to be a process. If it's not a process, you're hoping, you're wishing, you're dreaming, and that's not a way to build a business.
If you can sell,
yeah,
you can put food on your table for the rest of your life.
Yeah, good salespeople are never out of work. I mean, that's one thing that Dave and I have learned by doing, but also probably more importantly by validating that belief that we have personally through our own experiences by working with so many different businesses. You know, we've seen people that you would not believe could sell anything.
That's a fact.
Because it's just, they're not naturally extrovert. They're more introverted. They're more, you know, the C style, right? They're more conservative, more data driven, more this, more that. But I think one of the most important things to selling is you got to listen, and you got to listen more than you talk. And for some of us that are not only carrier, but I'm a carrier of talking too much. You got to really work hard at it. When you're in a sales situation, you've got to really work at it. And and that's another thing. I know people that sell a certain style and they're completely different when they're not selling.
Yeah.
You know, it's because they've worked hard and they know what works for them, and they've figured out a process that gets results for them.
What I like to tell people is God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
As a salesperson, use the ears.
Well, and let's be honest. We all have problems. I like to talk too much. Dave talks, you know, he goes up to burst of like 1 million words a minute. You know, we all have our thing that you got to work on, and it's okay. We're very aware of what we need to work on, and it is a process. But I think if you're aware of it, then you can start working towards improving it. We're not saying be something you're not. We're saying that just much like, you know, if you're an auto mechanic, you want good tools. Why? Because that's what you do every day. That's how you make your living, or with your tools. So you're not going to have cheap tools that don't work, that break all the time. You're going to go invest in good tools so you can do your craft, so you can work on people's vehicles and automobiles and take care of it. And it's the same thing in sales. This is your profession. You need to be building that toolbox, that toolkit, and you got to have good tools to get the results you want.
That wasn't good.
What'd you click, Dave?
Full screen.
Well, there you go.
We're back. It doesn't
Don't do
work full
that.
screen.
Don't do that.
So the next technology.
Don't do that.
This next thing that you've got to do. So you built your weekly. Now build your daily with your 3 big things you're going to do during the day. Make that your priority. All of us like to do the easy stuff first.
Yeah.
When you do the easy stuff, you don't get the important stuff done. You don't
Correct.
get the urgent stuff done, which doesn't really matter when it comes to sales and growing your business or living a better life, frankly. So set 3 objectives for the day. Make sure they're at the top of your list every day, and make sure you execute on those objectives.
And that's the most important thing. Nothing happens if you don't execute on it. You can have a great plan. You can have a great process. But if you don't get up and go walk it out every day, it's not going to get you the results that you could get. Now, I know natural salespeople that are just naturally inclined to that profession that don't work as hard as they could. They don't have a plan and process, and they still do pretty good. It's because they just have something that's just natural to them. Those people are they're like a unicorn. They're very, very rare. I mean, you just don't see them. You know, you've got to work at your craft, and it's something that you never quit developing skills in. If you do stop developing skills, it's going to show.
The last thing you need to do is leverage a sales call planner. Be
Yep.
prepared for your meetings. Know rehearse what's going to happen in the meeting, know the person you're talking to, understand what some of their potential concerns are going to be, and address those concerns in the meeting. You're identifying what their pain points are, and your sole purpose in that meeting is to solve their pain.
Yeah, and I think, this isn't about you, it's about them, and that's a tough one. We want to jump in and do features, benefits. Okay, leave 1987 and realize that's not how it works. And then it was consulting. Oh, I'm a consultant. No, you're selling something. To me, if you do the blocking and tackling, right? I know we shouldn't use sports cliches, but if you do the blocking and tackling,
it's the fundamentals.
If you do the fundamentals of your profession, you go think about a doctor. Okay, when you go see a doctor, the same steps are the same every time. The steps are the same every time. I mean, what do you do before you go see the doctor? What do you do when you go into the room? Nurse comes in, they typically check your blood pressure, your vitals. They kind of prep you. They get ready. Doctor comes in. They do. I mean, it's a process they follow.
Then the ambulance shows up.
If you're old, yeah, they got to come get you like me. But I think what I'm trying to communicate is that don't get caught in a trap to think that nothing ever changes. We're not saying that. Sales today looks totally different than sales did just a few years ago, which looks totally different than it did a few years before that, which looks totally different than a few years before that. But there are fundamentals. There's the foundation to sales that does not change. Now, the tools you use, the technologies you use, all that stuff, that's evolved, that's gotten better. But you got to remember, you got to stay grounded that people buy from people they know, they like, they trust. That has never changed. That's the one constant.
That's fact.
Good.
Fact. So, simple steps. Know yourself.
Yep.
Know your style. Know your challenges talking to people.
Yep.
Define your avatar. Develop your list. Plan your week. Plan your day. Plan your meeting.
Pre-call planner is so big. And there's some cool tools out there for that. I mean, if you guys need any of these tools or if there's something you need help with, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to share for free the tools that we have if you need help with that.
And if you guys are interested in a sales boot camp, reach out to us. We are going to start those starting in 2023.
Yep.
A day-long event where we're going to do all this stuff with you and give you a way to walk out and be successful. And if you're not planning your goals for next year right now, get on it.
Yeah, Sales Launchpad. We're going to help you launch off into your sales career. Doesn't matter if you're just starting, if you've been doing it for 20 years, you've been doing it for however long. We all need to stay fresh. I just ordered this weekend a sales system. At this stage in our game, because we do that ourselves, but I'm trying to learn. There might be stuff out there that I hadn't thought about. So please don't ever stop learning. Don't ever stop improving your skills because it's going to pay dividends for you and your business.
Now, if you listen to this, you don't suck as bad as you did before the show today.
Yeah.
We're proud of you. Keep working hard.
Yeah.
Now, go sell something.
Go sell something.
Dave and Phil, we are out of here.